I think the museum, while I'm looking forward to it on one level with great excitement, I am very much concerned that it will be a very dramatic presentation that might be unsettling to many of us.
It was constructed to give people the sense of being closed in by an industrial mechanism.
We have called for boarding all rows on U.S. Air's Flight 1697 service to the Washington National Airport.
This entire museum is about not forgetting what happened.
It'll be a very serious time of pause to kind of think of what we have and to make sure that something like this is a reminder that this won't happen again.
32 representatives of the Jewish Federation of Greater Springfield embark on a mission to Washington to meet with U.S. and Israeli officials to talk about the future and to get a closer look at the past. More than 10 years in the making, built by private funds on federal land, the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum has just opened to the public.
When the Germans built crematorium to consume the corpses of those that they had killed, they faced a technical problem. The brick kept exploding from the heat of the bodies, and so they learned to build the crematoria and crisscross it with iron and with steel so it wouldn't explode.
The museum takes you on a grim tour through history, from the rise of Hitler and the Nazi regime to the onset of genocide and the final solution to the liberation of the concentration camps. There are painful steps here into the past, like through this boxcar, not unlike those used to cattle Jews to concentration camps.
The boxcar, the exhibits there were small, crowded. You felt you were in a boxcar.
Did it frighten you?
No, it saddened me. It was desperately sad.
It was very crowded going through, but somebody said to me that was done intentionally to make you feel like the Jews when they were going through the camps and being hustled off the trains.
It's an incredible tribute, okay? They've done it incredibly well.
How close do you feel to the tragedies that you see here?
I feel very close. I'm close. I'm Jewish, and these are my people.
At the museum, Jews and non-Jews alike are reminded just how difficult and complex the lessons of the past can be, and how, for the Jews, the state of Israel is a symbol of hope. In Washington, D.C., Stephen Cooper, News 40. The survival of Israel gives Holocaust survivors and Jews everywhere a sense of identification. This group from the Jewish Federation of Greater Springfield pays a visit to the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. for an update on Mideast peace negotiations.
It is our interest to prevent the creation of an eastern front on Israel's eastern border. And in order to do this, we are willing to trade with Syria some land in the Golan Heights in exchange for full peace.
Embassy officials say it's important for Syria to talk about full peace before Israel promises any withdrawal from the Golan. They also say it's important to talk about some kind of Palestinian self-rule.
And that calls for trying to get a settlement with the Palestinians. This is a much more difficult and complex issue, of course.
And now back at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, the haunting images, both difficult and complex, intimate and painful, confront us, like these voices from Auschwitz.
Some people could take it and some people could not. Some people just gave it up. I want to live. I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to give them a chance to kill me. No way.
Being Jewish, I could relate, lost many people in our family and other families, and it's just an experience that nobody should have to go through, any peoples.
Pictures and words tell the story of Nazi atrocities against 6 million Jews and millions of others during the Hitler regime.
This place just makes you become the history that it portrays, and the architecture just reflects that.
The crack in the floor and the diagonal skewing and twisting of the skylight are representing the fissure that the Holocaust represents in the history of civilization.
You know, everyone can learn from this. I mean, we see in the news what's going on in Bosnia, whatever. We feel powerless to do anything about it.
The survivors and the people that were killed, just the immensity of it, the enormity of the project, the enormity of the tragedy, and how they would be proud of something of this honor.
We have to remember, we can never forget, because it can't happen. That's our responsibility to Judaism.
There are revisionists of history who talk about how the Holocaust never happened. In fact, a recent survey shows that 1 in 5 Americans aren't sure if the Holocaust ever happened. Well, for those who aren't sure, a couple of things come to mind. First, talk to Holocaust survivors. Ask to see their arms. Look real hard at the concentration camp numbers burned forever in their flesh. And then perhaps a visit here too holds some answers. Because here, in its own tragic and terrifying language, history speaks for itself. In Washington, D.C., Stephen Cooper, News 40.